I never thought I'd be the guy who gets blindsided like this, but here I am. My name's Mike, and I've been with Lisa for nearly 8 years. We met in college, and honestly, I thought we had something solid. We didn't argue much, shared everything. At least that's what I believed. We were planning our 10th anniversary, which was supposed to be this big, romantic thing. I was excited, thinking about surprising her with a trip and a nice dinner. She liked to act busy, always busy, saying she was swamped with work, but that's normal, right? Or so I thought. Looking back, there were small signs that something was off. She'd suddenly be more secretive with her phone, always keeping it close, even hiding the screen when I'd walk into the room. She'd get defensive if I asked who she was texting or calling. I even caught her deleting messages more than once, but I figured it was just being cautious. Then there were the late nights, often work, she'd say, but sometimes I'd catch her lying about where she was, or she'd make excuses that didn't make sense. The worst part, I was so caught up in preparing this anniversary surprise that I didn't see the cracks forming. I thought she was just stressed or maybe overwhelmed. But deep down, I felt something was wrong, the gut feeling that something wasn't right. I pushed it aside, choosing to believe in her because I wanted to believe in us. That was my mistake, I think, because I never thought she'd cheat on me, especially not with someone we both knew, our mutual friend Jake. Jake had been around for a while. We all hung out together, went camping, watched games, did the barbecues thing. He was funny, easygoing, and I'd trusted him. Trust was never an issue until now. Lisa had always been a bit bitchy, always got her way, had this sharp tongue, but I loved her anyway. That's why it hit me like a punch to the gut when I started noticing things that didn't add up, messages from her phone that didn't seem innocent, strange late-night texts, and her suddenly being busy whenever I asked about her plans. I remember one night, she came home late, around 2 a.m., smelled like perfume I didn't recognize. She brushed it off, but that smell lingered in my nose for days. I was naive maybe, or just too in love to see it. I kept telling myself, she's just stressed, she's working late, but my instincts told me otherwise. Something was happening and I felt it in my bones. I just didn't want to admit it yet. I wasn't ready to face the fact that Lisa, my wife, might be lying, cheating, betraying everything we built. But I was about to find out the truth, and once I did, everything changed. One afternoon, I decided to go through her stuff just to see if I could find anything that explained her weird behavior. I know, super stalker move, but I was desperate. I wasn't expecting much, just a reassurance or some reason why she was acting so secretive. I rummaged through her closet, her purse, her phone, anything I could get my hands on. That's when I found it. It was her phone, unlocked because she'd left it on the kitchen counter when she went to take a shower. I hesitated for a moment, feeling like a complete dirtbag, but I finally unlocked it. And there it was, messages between her and Jake. Not just friendly banter or working late stuff. No. These were explicit, flirty, suggestive texts, even some plans to meet up alone. I was stunned. My stomach sank. My world felt like it was crashing down around me. I stared at the screen, reading every word, feeling every ounce of shock and betrayal hit me all at once. They were talking about sex, about how they couldn't wait to see each other, about secret plans to meet in some hotel. Hotel keycard photos, that was what really threw me off. I saw them, her and Jake, posing with their hotel keys in hand, smiling like they were on some romantic getaway. Only she wasn't telling me she was going out of town for work. She was with our friend, doing who knows what. I felt my hands trembling. My mind raced. How long has this been going on? How many times had they met? Were there more texts, more secrets? I wanted to scream, cry, punch something. I felt betrayed, stupid, and furious. How could she lie to me for months about her work trips? How could she pretend everything was normal while she was sneaking around with Jake? It wasn't just the cheating. It was the lying, the sneaking, the betrayal. Of everything I thought we shared, I needed a moment to breathe. I stayed up all night staring at the messages and the photos, trying to comprehend what I just uncovered. The worst part, I had no idea how long she'd been doing this. Had she been cheating on me since before our anniversary, or just lately? It didn't even matter. What mattered was that I was completely blindsided and my heart was shattered into pieces. It was a kind of pain I'd never experienced before, like being stabbed repeatedly and not knowing who did it. I knew I couldn't keep this a secret. I had to confront her. I just didn't know how. I wasn't even sure if I wanted to hear her lie her way out of this or if I was ready to hear the truth. But I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine anymore. I had to face it. The moment she walked through that door, everything was going to change. I just didn't expect it to happen so suddenly or to be so damn brutal. The next day, I knew I had to talk to her. I waited until she came home from her work trip, which I now knew was a lie, and I felt like I was walking into a trap. When she finally walked through the door, her face immediately told me she sensed something was wrong. She looked guilty, defensive, like a kid caught with her hand in the cookie jar. I didn't even bother beating around the bush. I showed her the messages on her phone, the hotel photos, everything I'd uncovered. Her face twisted into a sneer. "Oh, come on, Mike," she snapped, crossing her arms. "It's not what you think. It's just sex, okay? Jake and I were just what?" I cut her off, voice tight. "Just having sex with our friend, is that what you're telling me? That you've been lying to my face, sneaking around behind my back, and it's just sex? Because it sure doesn't look like that from these texts or those hotel photos." She rolled her eyes, trying to brush it off like it was nothing. "You're overreacting. It's not a big deal. We're just what?" I repeated, voice cracking. "You're cheating on me, Lisa, with Jake, our friend. How long has this been going on? Are you even?" "Sorry," she looked furious now, the bitchy edge returning. "Sorry? Sorry for what? For wanting to have some fun? For not being happy with your boring ass anymore? Jesus, Mike, get over yourself. It's not like I cheated on you with some stranger. It's Jake. We've been friends for years. It didn't mean anything." She shrugged, acting like she was above it all. That's when I realized I was dealing with someone who genuinely didn't care about what she'd done, or at least didn't care enough to try and fix it. She was throwing words around like nothing, like I was the crazy one, but I could feel the rage building inside me. How many times had I missed the signs? How many nights had she lied to me? And now she was justifying it like it was no big deal. I felt my fists clench and I almost lost it, but I stayed calm, barely. I told her I needed some space, that I wasn't going to stay in a house with a wife who betrayed me. She just scoffed, said I was overreacting, that I was being dramatic. That's when I saw the real her, the bitchy, manipulative side that she rarely showed. I knew then I couldn't trust her again, not really. The emotional shock was worse than I expected. I went from a state of disbelief to anger to sadness. I kept asking myself how I missed the signs, how I could have been so blind. It felt like my entire life was a lie. I was hurt, crushed, and for the first time I questioned everything we ever built together. I didn't sleep that night, replaying everything, wondering if I'd ever be able to forgive her, or if I even wanted to. I knew one thing for sure: this betrayal was going to change everything forever. After that confrontation, everything shifted. I moved out of the house for a few days, not because I wanted to be away, but because I needed space to breathe. The house felt cold and empty without her, like the walls were mocking me with her lies still echoing inside. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. My mind kept circling back to the images, her and Jake, the hotel, the texts. It was like a parasite in my brain, gnawing at whatever shred of trust I had left. During those days, I started to really feel the depth of what I'd lost. I'd always thought she was loyal, that she loved me. Turns out she was just pretending. That realization hit me hard. It's one thing to be betrayed, it's another to feel like the person you trusted most in the world was laughing at you behind your back. I felt stupid for missing the signs, angry at myself for not seeing it sooner, and furious at her for lying so blatantly. But the worst part, the emotional roller coaster. Some moments I'd swing from rage to despair and back again. I'd look at her side of the bed and get this sick feeling, like I'd been punched in the stomach. I kept asking myself what I did wrong, why I couldn't see it coming. The pain was almost physical, like my chest was being squeezed tight. Every time I thought about her with Jake, I wanted to scream, cry, or smash something. Some friends told me I should just cut her out of my life completely, that this kind of betrayal can't be fixed. Others said to try and work through it, but honestly I wasn't sure if I wanted to salvage this. Part of me wanted revenge, something cold, something that would make her feel the pain she'd caused me. I started thinking about ways to do it, ways to make her regret ever betraying me. Not just a fight or a breakup, but something that would hit her where it hurt, make her see how much she'd destroyed. I also started digging into her phone again, looking for more signs. I found more messages, more photos, details I'd missed the first time. I even discovered Jake had been lying about where he was and that she'd lied about her work trips every single time. It was like peeling back layers of a rotten onion. The more I uncovered, the more I realized she'd been cheating on me for months, with someone I trusted, someone I called my friend. I couldn't decide what hurt more, the betrayal itself or the fact that she'd been so dismissive about it afterward. She kept calling me paranoid, crazy, jealous, like I was the one at fault. But I knew I was. I was just someone who trusted her and got kicked in the teeth for it. That's when I knew I had to do something about it. I wasn't going to let her get away with this. I was planning how I'd confront her again, how I'd get my revenge, and how I'd start moving on, no matter how much it hurts. The day I decided to finally hit back was when I realized I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay. I spent those days plotting, thinking about what would make her feel the weight of what she did. I wanted her to see that I wasn't some fool she could walk all over. I knew I had to be smart, calculated even. I started by gathering more evidence, taking screenshots of every message and photo I found. I wanted to have everything so she couldn't lie her way out of it again. Then I devised my plan. I knew she was supposed to be out of town for a conference, so I set up a little trap. I coordinated with a friend to get a copy of her hotel reservation to see if she'd check in again. I also sent a few subtle messages to her phone under the guise of checking in, pretending I was still clueless. All the while I had my phone, recording our conversations just in case I needed proof later. I felt like I was in some kind of espionage movie, but I knew it was necessary. When the day came, she was supposed to leave for her conference, and I was ready. I followed her on a fake account I set up, tracking her movements. She went to the airport, got on a flight, and I felt a strange mix of anger and satisfaction. I knew she thought she was getting away with it again, but I had my plan in motion. I waited until she checked into the hotel. This time I was outside, watching her from a distance. I snapped photos of her walking into the hotel lobby with Jake. They looked so happy, so smug, like they were untouchable. That night I sent her a message. I know what you're doing. I have the pictures, the proof. Don't bother lying anymore. I didn't want her to think she could hide it. I wanted her to feel scared, exposed, vulnerable. I knew she'd try to deny it, throw out some excuse, but I didn't care. She had crossed a line, and I was determined to make her see that I was done playing nice. The aftermath was brutal. She called me, furious, crying, telling me I was crazy and that I was stalking her. She insisted she loved me, that it was a mistake, that she'd never do it again, but I wasn't buying it. I just told her that I saw enough and that I was done. The trust was shattered beyond repair. I told her she had to choose me or Jake. She hung up, yelled, cursed, but I knew I'd made my point. That's when the real storm started. She was furious, trying to spin her lies, but I had the evidence. I kept my distance, knowing that I'd finally taken control. I didn't feel victorious, honestly, just numb. The betrayal had cut too deep. But I knew one thing: I was done waiting for her to admit it. She chose her side, and I was ready to move on. My life was about to change, whether I was prepared or not. After everything came out, she didn't even bother to deny it anymore. Her face was pale, her eyes darting around like she was trying to find an escape route. I stood there, watching her, feeling a strange mixture of relief and emptiness. The betrayal was out in the open, and I no longer had to guess or wonder. Still, the pain was deep, like a wound that wouldn't fully heal no matter how much I wished it would. I told her it was over, that I wasn't going to stay in a marriage built on lies and cheating. She begged, of course, crying and pleading, saying she loved me, that it was a mistake, that she was sorry. But sorry didn't erase the months of lies or the fact that she chose Jake over what we had. I wasn't naive anymore. I knew some part of her was still trying to manipulate her way out, but I was done listening. I packed my bags and left, not with anger exactly, but with a profound sense of loss. Living apart was tough. Every day felt like walking through a fog of memories and regrets. I kept asking myself why I hadn't seen the signs, why I'd trusted her so blindly. But eventually, I started to pick up the pieces of my life. I leaned on friends, took long walks, and tried to rebuild my sense of self. I realized that the betrayal hadn't just broken our marriage, it shattered my confidence, my sense of security. It took time, but I started to see that I deserved better than someone who could lie, cheat, and manipulate so easily. Looking back, I see this as a brutal lesson to trust my instincts more and to never ignore the small signs of trouble. She was a manipulative, selfish woman who thought she could get away with anything. And maybe she did for a while. But in the end, she lost everything: her marriage, her reputation, and the respect of someone who once loved her. I learned that revenge isn't about hurting her back. Though I won't lie, it felt good in the moment. It's about reclaiming your dignity. Moving forward, I decided I'd never settle for someone who didn't respect and value me. I've started dating again, cautiously, but with a new sense of boundaries. I don't want to live in fear or doubt anymore. I want honesty, loyalty, and someone who truly cares. This experience has made me realize that some betrayals are so deep they change you forever. But I also know that life goes on. You can fall apart or you can pick yourself up and rebuild. I chose to rebuild. I hope my story serves as a warning to others. Trust your instincts, pay attention to the red flags, and never let anyone treat you like you're less than you deserve. Because in the end, the only person who truly has your back is yourself.